This is my first podcast of the year, of the decade. Today's topic is the 14-day experiment, and I am super pumped to share my process and coaching methodology with you. This process was featured on the Word Network, and we helped people to break free of debt. And it was also featured on my radio show, The Kim Betty Show in Detroit, Michigan. So the 14-day experiment, it's like a goal-setting reboot. You know how when your computer is going slow or your cable TV is malfunctioning or your body keeps breaking down, you do a reboot. You press that computer button down and you hold it until the computer goes off and you reset it, or you might press the button on your modem and make sure that it stops and resets, or maybe unplug it out the wall. And you can also reboot your body by doing a detox or a cleanse. Well, it's the same kind of context with your mindset around setting goals. I'm going to invite you to do a reboot around how you're setting your goals for 2020. I did a podcast, 2020 Vision, and invited you to do a vision board for your 2020 vision and put purpose at the center, put a higher purpose and a higher power at the center. And then I put out a quiz the other day, or an assessment the other day, and asked people how they're doing. On a scale from 1 to 10, from terrible to excellent, where are you in reaching your goals and really striving for your vision, 2, 3 weeks in? And quite a few people hit the terrible button. They said, I'm doing terrible. And a few people said they were doing good. I didn't get any excellence. So I'm going to say there's work to be done. I don't want you to give up on your goals. I don't want you to give up on your vision, a few days in. I want you to learn from your successes and your setbacks. I believe that setbacks are also successful if you learn from them. So I'm going to invite you to reboot your thinking about New Year's resolutions and strategic plans and your visions, because, over 80% of people do not achieve. And I don't want that to get you discouraged. I want you to be able to think about your past setbacks and learn from them and put them to use. So that is what we're talking about. So go ahead and unplug your mindset around your goal settings. Press that button down, hold it until you are clear and you are ready. Take that deep breath. And be ready to do things differently. It's a new approach, the experimental mindset. There's always this debate about if you have the entrepreneurial spirit, if you will, or if you are someone who can jump in and just do it without a big plan and, a strategic SWOT analysis and thinking about it and meeting about it and strategizing about it. And a lot of people who have a more just do it thought process, and a lot of times as entrepreneurs or those with the entrepreneurial spirit believe you just jump in, and you can just jump in sometimes and you can have success. I believe that you can you can jump in and be strategic at the same time. I believe that just because you jump in doesn't mean that you throw away your thought, your strategic thinking. Like, why not learn from your experiments? Why not learn from when you jump in and really put on that kind of strategic hat? Well, the problem is a lot of times people don't even know what that means to be strategic. So one of the things that I'm going to do is give you some step by step, 14 of them to be exact. This week I'm going to give you 7 steps, 7 days worth of strategic thinking for your 14-day experiment, so that no matter if you set a goal and you succeed, then you can learn from that and think strategically about What was it that caused your success? Well, the same thing can happen with your setbacks. You can look at it and decide what happened, what was I thinking, what was my attitude, what were my actions, um, what was I modeling, what was going on that caused me to stall out. And I believe if you do that, then you can still call it a success. It's the success attitude, if you will. So I'm going to read a few excerpts from the book. I'm going to be introducing you to some amazing people that were on the radio show that were willing to blog about their 14-day experiment. And some of them came on air, like I said, and got coaching. And the blogs were really powerful, though, because they live on. And so I do have on my website a couple of clips that are from the 14-day experiment. Carol Gist, the first African American Miss USA, talks about her 14-day experiment and finding her voice. And Barbara, who is a retired professor of hygiene and a hygienist, also shares in detail in the blog about her 14-day experiment. And she's on the website too, talking about how she changed her eating habits and it really made a difference in her life. And we are going to let go of the outdated concept of beating ourselves up and feeling bad if we haven't reached a certain goal yet or a certain baby step of a goal. And maybe you're like, America, probably the majority of us who set out to go to the gym and we haven't quite made it every day like we said. And imagine if you set a realistic goal and then when you reach it, you celebrate. And then when you don't reach it, you're like, oh yeah, I didn't reach it, but I'm learning. Oh yeah. And you're still celebrating and not beating yourself up. You wouldn't beat up someone else because they didn't reach their goal. You'd be like, if at first you don't succeed, try again. So do the same thing with yourself. Keep moving now, but put that strategic hat on so you can learn, and then we can get to the root cause of what's causing you to stall out. When you're setting a 14-day experiment, you've got the mindset that, like I shared, you're not beating yourself up and you are going to win either way. And you're going to experiment with a change that is going to get you to your goal, get you to your vision. All right, so first I'm going to take you through the very first day, now that you've got that in your mind. And the very first day of your 14-day experiment, I call that see the big picture. So I want you to get your 2020 vision in your mind. Even if you did a vision board or maybe you didn't, even if you hadn't even given it any thought, just think of a goal that you are setting for 2020. Bring that to mind. And I want you to picture that you are riding in a helicopter. And so you are hovering above your goals. You can see yourself. You see yourself having attempted to do it in the past and it didn't go so well. And now you see yourself working on it now. Can you see yourself kind of hovering above the gym in the morning? When you wake up and you hit the snooze button and you hit the snooze button again and you hit the snooze button again. And then you get up and you're like, never mind, I'll just eat a bagel and cream cheese instead. And you don't work out. Or maybe this time you didn't hit the snooze button because you put the alarm clock on the other side of the room, or maybe Alexa is telling you to wake up and playing your favorite tunes, and you can see yourself doing that. You can see yourself, your workout clothes are laying out, and you said you'd reward yourself with your favorite smoothie if you make it to the gym, and you pick up your smoothie along the way and you're feeling good about it. You get to that gym and maybe you didn't work out as hard or as long as you wanted, but you made it there. So that's see the big picture. And I'm going to share with you a blog post from Barbara that I was telling you about. And this is her day 1 of her 14-day experiment. The reality is, I must change. If I don't, I will reduce my life expectancy significantly. My goal is to make a conscientious effort to address my eating habits, my relationship with food, and my food choices in order to keep my diabetes under control. I plan to make an effort for the next 14 days to evaluate everything I eat. I plan to keep a daily record of every morsel of food and drink that I consume and record the times. Then I can look back and see just what I am doing wrong. In order to do this, I've decided to take a diabetes class. The class will psychologically motivate me. I really want to be that 60-year-old female in the 40-year-old body. All right. So you make a list, could be 3 things, 5 things of things that you want to change. I'm going to read this other blog post and maybe it will motivate you. This one is by Alan, and here's his blog post on day 2. Initially, I was a little leery about the online experiment. I didn't want to publicly declare my goals in a blog and record my progress or struggle for everyone to read. My intent was to do the 14-day experiment privately, being accountable to no one but myself. But I'm really glad I changed my mind and decided to take the challenge. I stepped outside of my comfort zone, tried something entirely new, and found that I really liked it. It's been a good experience because I learned just how important it is to declare something that I want and make it known to others. Something interesting happened when I shared my plan with supportive people online and face-to-face. It strengthened my belief, established my commitment, and activated my faith toward pursuing my goal. It also made me accountable for what I said I was going to do. All right, so that's what Alan said. So now here's how you make your agenda for change. And I do suggest that you declare it to someone. You can go online and contact me and share your agenda for change that way. Make sure you subscribe to my mailing list, and then you can participate in the emails. You can also go to @Coach Kim Betty, KIMBETTIE. That's how you spell my last name, Betty, BETTIE. And you can @Coach Kim Betty talk to me on social media and also post your agenda there and message me. So when you make your agenda, for example, let's say that Barbara's working on her eating. She might say that I'm going to do intermittent fasting, or she might say that I'm going to start with a baby step and just begin to drink enough water. I'm going to, like she said, write down and keep a journal for what I'm eating. She might say that I'm going to find a buddy and make sure that I partner with someone that's on the same path as me. So those will be changes that she wants to make. And that is what you do. And then once you make your list for your agenda for change, you pick one thing and you experiment on that thing for the remainder of your experiment. All right? So by day 3, you are now shifting your mindset, and you are going to pay attention to not your outcome, the ultimate goal. Oh my gosh, I'm going to achieve a vision and I'm going to have a 40-year-old body even though I'm 60, and every time I look in the mirror I get disgusted with myself because I don't look 40 right now. And no, you don't do that. You don't even focus on the outcome of, am I drinking my water? What you focus on is the process. So I'm going to share this blog post from Lisa. She was a participant on the radio show as well, and she blogged, and here you go. They say life is a journey and about change. Today I've accepted the challenge of exploring change and taking risks. For the 14-day experiment, I will do unto others as I would want them to do unto me. I'm going to start with being more open to breaking my many rules, including emails, texting, and Facebooking only. I'm going to actually try to show the human side of me and allow real face time as opposed to Facebook time. For most people, this may sound simple, but for me, this is a bad habit of 6 years that I've slipped into, so baby steps it is. All right, so now we are on day 4, and I call this PUSH. And I love the acronym of PUSH, pray until something happens. Think about pushing as like labor pains, like you got to keep going. We're on day 4. You've started your experiment. You did your agenda and you faced the reality of what you haven't achieved in the past. You've picked one thing and now you're holding yourself accountable. And so I'm going to share with you what Alan said about pushing through. Remember, Alan was the one that didn't necessarily want to go online, but then he decided to do it. And here you go. I have to admit today was a struggle. My excuse for not making time to search for a job is that I'm really exhausted on so many different levels. So Alan's experiment is to find a job. This economy has made life more demanding and stressful. I work more hours lately, and I'm usually so tired by the time I get home that I don't feel like doing anything but unwinding. My current job involves looking at a computer screen all day, so searching jobs online is the last thing that I want to do in the evening. Although it's the weekend, I'm still tired from working overtime this past week, and I didn't want to think about researching jobs. So this coming week should be more productive since I've committed to working less hours. I find that job hunting is a job in itself. So during this experiment, I will work less hours overtime so that I'm not as tired and I can remain focused. All right. So the 5th step in day 5, and the strategic way to look at it, is to find the motivation. Find the motivation. And I love the concept of finding the motivation because you're not going to always be motivated. And just because you're not motivated doesn't mean don't do it. Find the motivation to change. Finding motivation is like being in a dark room, slipping on your slippers, and trying to get over to the light switch. You know the light switch is there if you can just reach, stumble, reach, stub my toe, click. There we go. And now it's lit up. You know it's there. You just have to find it, feel your way through till you hit that switch, that electrifying switch that gets you motivated. So just because you're not motivated doesn't mean that you don't go to the gym. It means get up, go to the gym, and exercise until you get motivated. That's what that means. So I'm going to inspire you from another post that was from day 5. And let's take a listen to this. This one is from Sherry. Even though I'm a goal-oriented person, I feel like I've been stuck on stupid lately, meaning I have this enormous dream I want to satisfy of completing my novel, and I know it's a directive from God, but I've been allowing negative words to set inside my head. That's why I'm glad to take part in this experiment, and I will not let previous roadblocks like self-doubt, procrastination, and fear set in. Since I started the experiment, I've been giving myself positive stimuli. When I write, I don't critique and criticize every word, and therefore I don't stop before completion. I keep writing and will worry about perfecting it in the upcoming drafts. Moving forward, I will write with purpose, one step and one page at a time, knowing that God has not given me the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of sound mind. I really feel good about this experiment, confident and able. So that's what day 5 is all about. Find the motivation. Even though you don't have it, you get yourself to that light switch, click it on, and figure out what's in your way, and you keep going. So like Sherry said, I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm going to do it. It may not be perfect. This draft, I have another draft that I can perfect. Now, step 6, let me repeat. See the big picture, make your agenda for change, study the process, push, find the motivation. And now, day 6, step 6 is to change on purpose. Change on purpose. Even if you still can't find that motivation and you have the light on and you still feel like, I just don't want to work out, or I just don't want to look for a job, or I don't want to apply for that promotion and do all the things that my, CEO wants me to do, or trying to be a better person and do unto others, or trying to eat right. If you still don't have that motivation, you can tap into something very powerful. and that is purpose. Purpose is electrifying. Purpose can light you up. How do you find that purpose? Well, one of the things we talked about for the 2020 vision is to have your purpose in the center, a higher purpose, like a calling that you feel is the reason for your being, like why you're doing what you're doing. Now, maybe some of you can't get that deep and you don't have that. Well, let me give you an exercise on how you can figure out your why. And it's called the 5 why. So let's say that Barbara wants to be healthy and she asks herself, why? Why do I want to be healthy and beat this diabetes? Well, I want to live a long life. Why? I want to be there for my family. Why? Because I want to see my daughter and my grandkids grow up. Why? Because I want to leave a legacy and make sure that they're okay and be able to contribute in their life. Why? Because it's meaningful for me to make a difference in my family's life and the lives of others. Why? Bingo, bingo, bingo. Purpose. So you want to get that purpose, and that will help you to tap into your motivation. And then once you find your purpose, just pencil it in or put a picture in your vision board and get excited. Here is Sandra Dee posting her blog about changing on purpose, and for day 6, here she goes. I've been soul searching deeply about what I want to accomplish in the years to come and why. I want to have peace with my decision making and find a special love that shares the same values I have for my life. I have been emotionally hurt and I had disappointment in past relationships. I am learning to trust God in the healing process of my emotions and to guard my heart so I will not put myself emotionally out there so quickly like I've done in the past. My love experiment that I have set for myself is to love me first. I have to envision myself in a wonderful, healthy love relationship that makes me feel special and see myself capable of giving love back to someone. I'm learning about myself and what I truly want in a relationship. I want to have a loving, healthy relationship in my life, and I'm ready to change to make that happen. That's Sandra Dee's blog post, and that is her why. She wants to be able to give love, and in order to do that, she knows she has to love herself first. All right? And now we are coming to the midway of the experiment, which is important. The beginning of the experiment, the first 7 days, are really laying that foundation to get you excited so that you will make those steps. And when you don't make the steps and you don't do the things that you plan to do, you simply journal like you see these people doing and figure out your setbacks and get to the root cause of it. So I'm going to give you the 7th day or the 7th step. And I love this one. And it is when you assess your readiness. You've been doing this for a week. When I ask people their readiness in the beginning, everybody's like, I'm a 10, I'm an 8, I'm ready. But when you have had about 7 days at it, you can truly assess, am I really ready? Like that young man who posted terrible, he was doing terrible on his goals. I bet he's really not ready. He needs some baby steps and to learn why he's doing terrible at his own goal. So this step is about assessing your readiness for change. And you can do that a few ways. We can do the readiness ruler, where you say on a scale from 1 being I'm not ready to 10, I'm pumped and I'm ready, like working your faith readiness, not just dreaming about it, hoping about it, wishing about it, praying about it, like you're putting it into action. And that's how you can assess your readiness. I think this blog post for day 7 by Lisa will help us. Phew! Talk about brain overload. I have been doing a lot of soul searching in a real effort to convince myself that my way may not necessarily be the right way. Trust me, it's been exasperating. I've revisited past relationships, current friendships, and actually considered narrowing down my potential list of men who may deserve a little more than what I've been giving. So Lisa is sharing that she realizes that she was not ready but she is ready for the baby steps now, really ready to face the facts. And that's where you want to be about day 7 on your experiment. You've probably stumbled in the dark, hit your toe, haven't quite turned that light switch on. You figured out your reason why, and you have been able to look back and study and see, here's why I am stuck. Or here's why I'm flourishing. And if you are flourishing and you're doing great, then study that so that you can sustain it. Because let me tell you, there will come a time that you will hit relapse. It really takes me back to a time that I coached this young lady, and she came in the door, and it was a matter of life and death for her. She was deciding to not amputate her leg. She'd had diabetes type 1 as a child, and they were telling her that she needed to get her leg amputated, and she decided that she was going to keep her leg. And in order to keep her leg and still live, she had to really be healthy, eat and do the things that are good for her body and keep the stress off of her. And I remember how diligent she was. We made a plan, and a strategic plan to prevent any relapse, anything. Like, my parents are getting up in age, and if they pass away, I have to keep going. I have my job, and if my job gets stressful, I have to combat that stress for my body. So like anything that can get in her way. And imagine her determination, her readiness. It was a matter of life and death. And for many of us, our goals and our visions, we don't relate to them like it's a matter of life or death. But for many of us, if we really think about the goals that we have, it truly is. It truly is. It's about the quality of your life, the quality of your children's life, the quality of your stress that you're having at work, your health and your eating habits and your exercise, your love relationships, your community service. There's a community suffering because you haven't been able to get out there and contribute your talent. So the experiment takes that anxiety off of you so that you can learn, but it does not absolve you of your responsibility to live your vision, to fulfill your calling.